Hi there, my name is Shalon and I'm from P2 Studios. I'd like to welcome you back to this course on learning TVPaint for animation. So in today's lesson, we're going to be going over more about how we define ourselves as an animator than some of the other technical videos that I've done in the past. And I just wanted to go over these points because, a lot of new animators or aspiring animators are kind of either confused or don't understand what it really means to define yourself as an animator. And these points that I'm going to be covering today are not original. Back when animation was first defined, these principles became the foundation that defined us as an animator, but it also would become the process also of creating animation. And both of those are not synonymous. They both work in conjunction with each other. So one of the first points that I'm going to be covering is one of the most important key factors in defining yourself as an animator. So first of all, we need to question ourselves, what is an animator's job? The original animators do the same type of work we do as they did over 50 years ago, only we have modern technology to help us streamline this process. And this is done through paperless animation, through programs such as TVPaint animation or Flash or Adobe Animate, whatever the tool you use. All these tools help us streamline this process. But even though we have all these tools, the core fundamentals are still relevant as they were when they first developed by the pioneers of this industry. And they have the definition, which has been a broadly accepted definition of an animator, is an artist who creates multiple images known as frames, which give the illusion of movement, which is called animation, when displayed in a rapid sequence. So this is partially true, but it's too wide of a description for the true definition. I had the pleasure to, in my many years of research and many years of watching tutorials, watching a lot of the legends who pioneered these techniques in the industry. And one of them said, animators live in the breakdown or in the in-between. Now, this is where we are defined as animators and what it means to actually animate. You might be asking yourself, what does this mean? What does it mean living down in the breakdown or the in-between? Well, that's the purpose of today's video, and that's something I want to show you guys. What it actually means, what the definition of being an animator is. So to do this, I'm going to show you a rudimentary or a simple version of what I've found out through my many days of research and years of experience of what this actually means. And to do that, we're just going to go ahead and simply use 3 frames. Okay, so our first frame, we're going to have a regular face. We're actually going to have a frame like this in each one. So I'm going to go ahead and turn on my light table, and I'm going to set it so I can see the previous frame. And I'm just going to go ahead and lay it down. As you can see, it's off-centered. So what I do is I just go ahead and hit undo, and then I can directly see what was underneath. Okay, so we go ahead and place that one down. And then we have the third one. And again, we just follow the same process. Okay, and they don't need to be perfectly set on. This is one of the aspects I'm going to be showing you today, is that it's all about personality, emotional ties, and showing expressions and having your own style. So the first frame, we're going to go ahead and switch our brush to a regular brush. And the first frame, I'm going to turn off our light table. Well, actually, I'll just leave it on. So our first frame, we're going to have a guy who's going to be smiling. Okay. And our last keyframe, we're going to have a guy who is sad. Oh, he's so sad. Okay, and then you can see that our middle frame, we don't have any expression at all. Now, the standard logic between the first keyframe and the last keyframe is that the mouth itself will be in a straight position. So let's go ahead and draw that. So we got the straight position. So now he goes from happy. We'll turn off the light table so we can see. So we go from happy to sad. Okay, and this is where a lot of animators, when they start animating, they draw technically. Like technically from this position of keyframe to our last static image keyframe, this technically is correct. The in-between is where the mouth is just like that. But like I said, as animators, we live in the in-between. So the static images that we have set for the first keyframe and the last keyframe are the position and movement of where we want our characters are going to be and where they're going to be. So here in this initial state here, he's happy, and then we want to get him to be sad. And these two states of emotion are set, because this is what we want to happen. So what happens is that we live in the in-between. And so we must make sure that when it goes from here to here, we want to make the in-between the most interesting and also the most expressive so that we can connect with our audience. So you might be asking, how do we do this? Well, it can be done simply as we can select this and we can delete this. And we can we can turn back the light table on so we can see that, oh, okay, it's going from here to there. Well, now what we could do is we could take and place his mouth. Oh, we gotta undo that. And we can place his mouth up here. And it could give a little bit more of a different expression. I'm gonna take and delete this image because it split my keyframe. So now that we have his mouth now set higher, it goes up and then it comes down. Okay, and we can see this by turning off our light table again, and see it goes up and then it comes down. So now it's giving more of an emotional state, it's giving more of an emotional expression. Now we can enhance this by saying, well, the first frame we can have and just add regular eyebrows. Okay, short eyebrows. There we go. And actually that looks kind of evil. Hold on, let me back that up. Okay, and so we can just add regular eyebrows. Okay, and then in our middle keyframe, we could be like, like he's sighing, like, he's getting into that state of unhappiness. So we're gonna raise his eyebrows up. So he's like, and then in the last one, he's like, oh man, that's so sad. I lost my puppy, or, my pizza burnt, or something. So we go from, and then, so again, we added some more expression to this, and it gives more of a feeling to our animation because the in-between has become more expressive itself. And that is where we live. We try to express what is happening, what the world is like in between. So we could also take and draw his mouth down further, and we can actually, wait, that's the eraser. So drawing the mouth down further like that, And then we can also take his eyes, select his eyes here, and we can move those eyes down. And what this does is it provides a head tilt and gives more emotion and feeling into your animation, into your drawing. So now that we turn off the light table, we can see that he's in a happy state, and he's like, oh, he tilts his head forward and down, and then he goes into the sad face and he comes back up. And this is where the first frame is where you're connecting with your audience. The second frame is where you're showing that emotion, where that feeling is, and it's a reflection of how you're feeling when you are transitioning in between the two. And then we go into he's looking back up at the camera, and he's showing you the unhappiness. He's showing you the sadness. And this is really simple, but this is exactly what I mean by how the animator lives in the breakdown, or the in-between, is because the static frames of the first frame, our keyframe, and our last keyframe are already set. We can't put emotion into that because those are the set frames that they're static images. It is our job to go in between those two static images, and they could be, you could have these images and draw them out so that, he looks down slower, and then he holds it, and then he looks up. And you can animate that closer to one side of the keyframe or the other side of the keyframe, your ins and outs. And you can also add anticipation. You can add squash and stretch of his face, of his eyes, of his mouth, different features to give it that emotion. And that's what we're looking for. And that emotion is exactly what your audience connects to. And that's what you want. And that's what it means to be an animator. See, we're using everything, all the techniques that have been used down throughout the years by professionals, and we're still using them to give our characters emotion. So now that you understand a little bit more about the basic fundamentals of what it means to be an animator, just keep animating, keep trying out, keep experimenting, see what kind of the in between here, the keyframe, each one of these keyframes, in between, the possibilities are endless how you get from one to the other keyframe. And the more ingenuitive, or the more you are expressive in your emotions and your facial expressions and how the body moves or how the character moves, the more successful you are going to be as an animator. So this wraps up this video, and in our next video I'm going to be showing you, I'm working on an animated sequence for a new show, and I'm going to show you exactly one of the tools I have, one of the aspects I should say of TVPaint that I've come to grow and love is its organizational features. And what I'm going to show you is how we organize our clips and our scenes within our project. So until next time, keep animating and keep drawing. Thank you.